It looks as though your friend is leaving you to face the music.
Well, I'm damned, Eddie Meadows. We've been looking for you, Eddie. You seem to have some very interesting friends, Mr. Martin. I think perhaps you better come along with me and tell me all about them.
All right, Inspector. But first, I've got something upstairs that might interest you.
Now, let's get this straight. Andy Wilson gave Luther Harris a left luggage ticket. And Luther Harris gave the ticket to you?
That's right.
If this case belonged to your brother, why didn't Andy Wilson give you the ticket?
Well, there was supposed to be some things in the case that belonged to Andy Wilson, and he wanted to get them out before he handed the case over to me.
I see. Then why did Luther Harris decide to hand the ticket over to you?
Well, he said he was afraid of getting mixed up in this business. You'd already questioned him about Phil and Andy Wilson.
But if he was frightened of getting involved, why did he accept the ticket in the first place?
I don't know.
This phone call, the one I'm supposed to have made, what did they say?
Well, just that you'd picked up Cliff Fletcher and wanted me to go and identify him. My secretary took the call, and she said you were sending a car for me. Well, actually, when Meadows turned up, I thought he was one of your people.
Yeah. And this other man, the one in the car, did you get a good look at him?
No, I'm afraid I didn't.
Pity. Well, Mr. Martin, perhaps you'll be so good as to come along to my office. I got something I'd like to show you for a change.
But I told you what happened. Andy asked me to go down to Victoria and pick up the case. After I'd left the hospital, I had second thoughts, decided I'd been a bit stupid, telephoned Larry, handed over the ticket.
And you didn't know what was in the case?
Of course I didn't. And I still don't believe there was £4,000 in it.
Well, it's true, Luther, there was.
Nearly 50,000 Deutschmarks.
Well, where on earth did Phil get 50,000 Deutschmarks?
We don't know. We don't even know whether the case belonged to Phil or not.
What do you mean?
Well, Andy Wilson could have been lying. Perhaps Phil never gave him the ticket in the first place.
Yes. Yes, that's possible, I suppose.
Mr. Harris, how often did Philip Martin and Andy Wilson visit your shop?
Well, when they were on leave, several times a week.
Did they ever meet anybody there? By appointment, I mean.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, there was one occasion.
Go on, Mr. Harris.
Oh, several months ago, a woman came into the shop and asked for a particular gramophone record. I only had one copy, and it so happened that Phil was in one of the cubicles listening to it. Well, I told him the woman wanted to borrow the record, but instead of handing it over, he invited her into the cubicle. I was very annoyed about it at the time, but, well, it worked out all right. She bought the record.
And you had the impression Phil had met this woman before?
Oh, I don't know about that. No, I had the feeling that he was expecting her.
What did this woman look like? Can you describe her?
Yes, well, she was about 30, dark, slim, quite good looking, and she had an upper class kind of accent.
She sounds very similar to the woman you described, Mr. Martin.
The one in the antique shop?
Yes, Mrs. Selden. You've seen this woman since?
No, never.
Was Andy Wilson in the shop when this incident occurred?
No, I don't think he was. If I remember rightly, he turned up about half an hour later.
There's a photograph.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. This is what I wanted to show you, Mr. Martin. These photographs are taken by Interpol. They arrived this morning. Do you know that man?
Yes, that's Fletcher.
The man with the knife?
That's right.
You're quite sure it's Fletcher?
I'm absolutely sure.
I don't suppose you know this gentleman by any chance, do you, Mr. Harris?
No.
You've never seen him before?
No, I'm afraid I haven't.
He's never patronized your establishment on any occasion?
If he had done, I'd have seen him, wouldn't I?
Yes, I suppose you would, sir. But Meadows, has he seen these photographs?
Yes, he has, sir. He made no comment, but I think he recognized him. Incidentally, Meadows says he knows nothing about this business. Simply told to pick up Mr. Martin, make sure he had the key, and take him down to the car.
Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Martin, Mr. Harris. I know where to get you if I want you.
Inspector,
Yes.
who is this man? Why are Interpol so interested in him?
His real name is Sandman, Peter Sandman. But he works under many aliases. Fletcher happens to be one of them. German police think he organized the Hamburg bank raid. You probably remember the one I mean, about 18 months ago.
No, I don't remember it.
Ah. Manager was English. A chap called Weston. He was murdered just as he left his office one night.
I don't remember reading about it.
It was in all the papers. Your brother was stationed in Hamburg, wasn't he, sir?
Yes. He was.
You know, Larry, I've been thinking. This is the third time I've been questioned by the police.
Third time?
Yes. They popped into my place the day after Phil died. And then Hyde dropped in the morning after I'd been to the hospital.
Well, I expect they've been checking up on all sorts of people.
I don't know about that. They seem to be concentrating on me at the moment.
Yes, well, obviously, when I found that money, I had to tell them about the ticket.
Oh, yes, of course, old man. I'm not blaming you. It's just that, well, my place wasn't the only one that Phil and Andy visited, you know. They used to go to that coffee place quite a lot.
Which place was that?
Oh, you know, the one on the King's Road. It's called the, El Ranchero, that's it.
Well, how do you know they used to spend a lot of time there?
Well, I used to hear them talking about it. Besides, they took me there one night. Oh, it's a perfectly respectable place. I'm not suggesting there's anything funny about it. But I was just wondering whether the police are as interested in that place as they are in my shop.
It's not your shop they're interested in, Luther, it's you. After all, you were a pretty close friend of Phil's.
Yes. Of course I was.
Well, where shall I drop you?
Well, you'll be anywhere near Sloane Square.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do fine. No, it's not that I don't want to help you, Larry, old man. It's just that, well, anything to do with the police always makes me feel a bit jittery.
Guilty conscience.
Yes. I think it must be.
Coffee, please. Not very busy tonight.
It slacks off a bit about this time. Pick up again around 9:30 to 10.
Thank you. You been here long?
Who, me?
Yes.
About 4 years.
I wonder if you can help me. My name's Martin. Larry Martin. Perhaps you've heard of me.
Yes, I've heard of you. You're a photographer. It was your brother that...
That's right.
What is it you want, Mr. Martin?
Well, I'm making certain inquiries about Phil, my brother, and I wondered if you could help me. You see, I've been told that Phil and a friend of his named Andy Wilson used to come here quite a lot.
Yes, they did. I'm afraid I didn't have very much to do with them, though.
That was when Joseph was here.
Joseph?
He was a waiter that used to work here. He was very friendly with your brother and this other chap. What's his name?
Andy Wilson.
Yes, that's right. Used to fool about a lot together. Pull each other's leg, that sort of thing. I'm afraid I got a bit fed up with it in the end.
Did you say my brother was friendly with this, Joseph?
Yes.
How friendly?
I don't know.
Well, did they ever meet? I mean, apart from here.
I've already told you I don't know. If I were you, I'd have a word with Joseph about it. He'll be in about 15 minutes.
But I thought you said he'd left you.
He has. He pops in every night for a free coffee. Works in a pub down the Brompton Road. Take a pew. I'll let you know when he comes in.
Good evening.
You wouldn't be Joseph by any chance?
Mr. Martin, please be serious. I've got to talk to you. It's important.
Did he send for you?
Yes. Look, Mr. Martin, I haven't got very much time. I've got an appointment at 8 o'clock and I've got to keep it.
With our knife-throwing friend, Mr. Fletcher?
I didn't know that was going to happen that afternoon. I didn't know they were going to murder Quayle. Honestly, I didn't.
Well, what did you think they were going to do?
I didn't know. I thought perhaps they were just going to frighten him a little. Look, I didn't come here to discuss Quayle.
Go on, Mrs. Selden.
I want to talk to you about Phil. About your brother. Well, ever since Phil died, you've been trying to find out why he went down to Maidenhead and why he was so interested in that book.
Well?
I can tell you why he went to Maidenhead, Mr. Martin. I can tell you about the book. I can tell you everything you want to know. If you...
If what?
Well, if I'm going to help you, you've got to help me. That's only fair, isn't it?
Yes, that's only fair, Mrs. Selden. Now, what do you want me to do?
I don't want you to do anything, but... Well, you've got something that I want. If you'll give it to me now, tonight, I'll tell you about Phil.
But what have I got that could possibly... Oh, yes, the key.
The key? No, I'm not talking about the key. I'm talking about the parcel, Mr. Martin.
What parcel?
A parcel was sent to your brother from Germany. It was addressed to Phil and sent to your flat.
I know nothing about this.
You mean it hasn't arrived yet?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, of course I'm sure. If it had arrived, I'd have sent it to the police.
Yes. Well, don't, Mr. Martin. Not if you want to know the truth about your brother. Look, when the parcel arrives, ring me at this number. You won't regret it, Mr. Martin, I promise you.
Good evening, Mr. Martin.
Ah. Good evening, Mr. Talbot.
Sorry to drop in on you like this. I suppose I should have given you a ring.
Yes, well, you wouldn't have got me anyway. I have an out most of the evening.
Oh, well, in that case...
You come in.
Thank you.
Well, now, what can I do for you?
This parcel arrived at the hotel this morning. It's addressed to your brother, so Mrs. Curtis asked me to deliver it to you.
Yes. Yes, well, that's very kind of Mrs. Curtis. I hope you haven't made a special journey.
No, of course not. I had an appointment in town. Incidentally, I wonder if you'll be kind enough to sign this slip.
The slip?
It's a receipt for the parcel.
Oh, yes, of course.
In my opinion, the parcel ought to have been handed over to the police. But Mrs. Curtis thought otherwise.
Oh, really? I thought you and Mrs. Curtis always saw eye to eye over things.
Yes, well, we do as a rule.
I see this was posted in Germany.
Yes, apparently. Now, if you will excuse me.
Is there any news?
News?
Yes, about the Quayle murder. Are there any developments?
Oh, yes, I see what you mean. No, I don't think so. The police have visited the hotel several times, of course, and questioned Vanessa, Mrs. Curtis. They don't seem to be getting very far. But incidentally, Martin, I understand you told the inspector that Quayle dropped in on you one day and asked for that key.
Yes, I did.
I can't imagine why Thomas should do that.
Well, he did, I assure you.
Well, he knew perfectly well it belonged to his sister. It was the key to her private suite, you know.
Yes, so the inspector told me.
I just can't imagine why Thomas should want that key.
Well, perhaps he wanted to open the door, Mr. Talbot. Good night. This is Larry Martin here. I thought I'd let you know the parcel has just arrived.
I see. Well, Mr. Martin, now it's up to you.
What do you mean?
Do you want to meet me or don't you?
If I didn't want to meet you, I wouldn't be ringing you, would I?
Well, you might. If you've been in touch with the police.
I haven't been in touch with the police.
Very well. Do you know Barnes Common?
Yes?
Well, on the northwest side of the common, there's a road called Vine Road. It's off Station Road, just after you pass the pillar box. About 100 yards down Vine Road, there are some wooden posts on the left-hand side of the road. I'll be parked near there.
But why Barnes Common? Why can't we meet in town?
Because I shan't be in town, Mr. Martin. I'll see you there in about an hour.
All right. Hello, Ruth. What are you doing here?
Well, I said I'd be back, remember? The Dalton agents are expecting those prints first thing in the morning.
Ah, yes, of course.
Oh, what happened about Fletcher? Was he the man they arrested?
They didn't arrest anyone. I'll tell you all about it when I get back, if you're still here.
Oh, I'll still be here. I've got a great mound of work to finish off.
Oh, Ruth, you read German, don't you?
Well, a little bit. Why?
What does that say?
Oh, this is the book you need. Linderhof. Is this the book that Phil was reading? The one that Andy was...
I'll tell you all about it later, darling.
Darling.
Over here. Martin, you all right?
So, after Talbot left, I telephoned Claire Selden and arranged to meet her here.
Not exactly the most suitable place, especially at this time of night.
She insisted on meeting me here. I wanted to meet her in town, but she wouldn't hear of it.
I see. This coffee bar place you mentioned, where was it again?
El Ranchero. It's in the King's Road.
And when you got back to your flat after visiting this coffee bar, this Talbot character turned up with the parcel, the book.
Yes, but he didn't know it was a book. At least he didn't appear to know it. All he said was it was a parcel addressed to the hotel, the Falcon letters, for my brother.
And when did it arrive, did you say?
I think he said this morning. Anyway, Mrs. Curtis asked Talbot to drop it in to me as he was on his way to town. And now may I ask you a question, Inspector?
What brought us here? We had a phone call from a woman. She told us you were coming here tonight. She said you were going to be murdered.
Who was this woman?
I don't know. She didn't give her name. You have no idea who it might have been, Mr. Martin?
No. No, I haven't.
Look.